I'm back in the first movement of the Beethoven C minor violins and violin piano sonata. Decided to go right to the coda because there's troublesome spots there that need reviewing and re-reviewing. So I'm going to do that now. Let's see. I'm going to start from 230, which is I think from this point forth, in this last page, there are almost, in one hand or the other, there are broken octaves most of the time. There's a brief moment when it's just alternating hands, but most measures contain broken octaves. Now, what I just did still has problematic areas, but I really wanted to go to the broken octaves first, because that was my intention all along. And I'm alone here, or at least I move alone, which is an advantage in re-establishing the command here. I see. I like the editor's suggestion that C should have a thumb, in which case I'm going to leap to the second finger. Help also to give me a little more time for the subito piano. Practicing double octaves, especially on a very resistant piano. It's my left hand, which is not as capable as my right hand at doing that, is you run the risk, no matter how wily you are, of getting tired to the point that it becomes inefficient. So I've got to make sure not to over-practice the left hand, but keep interspersing left-hand fragments with right-hand fragments or other things. Or if I'm practicing for position and choreography, maybe doing things like solid octave preparation, which is what I'm going to do now. So I need to make sure to get back to the thumb. Easier for me. Now, the trick here is really a matter of positioning. For example, it's generally more comfortable to play black note octaves. They have a high profile. You just lay your fingers across them. When you come from a black note to a white note, committing to a more arched hand, grabbier feeling. So I like to reinitiate a sense of approaching the keyboard from the white note into the black note. So rather than thinking of going from E flat to C, I think of going from C to the ensuing A flat. So it's here and then. Of what you do visually. When I'm playing this major arpeggio in here, I'm oriented to my thumb note. Thumb key. Whoops. And I'm missing the last bigger sideways gesture, that's obvious, but a bigger inward gesture, and to avoid, to have plenty of room out here, so there's room for my hand to cross into the G. I'm going to even mark that. I'm not going to ever see it in performance because there won't be, but this is a reminder from my practice. You can see, I don't know if you can hear, but when I just go the three notes, it's almost always more relaxed and more accurate because I'm not anticipating the G. And if I isolate the G in my head, and this, it works better. Now this. I'm going to take a rest. Maybe 2, 3. This is not mechanically difficult to go up and to alternate the hands. It's just accuracy difficult. So I have to make sure. Of course, it's not accuracy difficult for the right hand. So this. I think Beethoven would have been horrified at the weighting, the resistance of the modern piano, because a lot of the writing he gives presupposes a much, much lighter action. Anyway, good for us. So I'm keeping my eyes on my left hand, because my right hand can take care of itself, even accurate like this. Oops. You can feel how messy sounding it suddenly gets. Twice, so. No, that's it. Reiterate. Then. Now, this whole page I can play 90% accuracy, but that's terrible. You know, in other words, I can play it at this point, well from memory, but it's finding those refinements in accuracy and in ease that will make the difference. And I'm deciding right hand fingering. The right hand is the lead, so if it has a real sense of assurance, that aids the left hand a lot. Now I'm going to go 3, 4, 5, just to keep it even more passive. And then a subito piano, really useful, I think. Okay, I wanted to note that I'm not interfering. If I take time, it's not going to interfere with the violin part because the violinist has held notes on the downbeat. So that's very useful. I think I may need to use that aspect a lot. insecurity of gesture, where I'm going, makes a difference, I've got to get rid of it. In other words, that's certainly one thing you always have to consider. If you're in any kind of conflict about where you're heading, that will create tension. So. block chord. There's certainly going to be insecurity in the broken chord. That reverse. Back down going up. 4, 3, 2, 1, I think. To take that time, and I need to. Is it a crescendo? Yes, it is. Look earlier. I still didn't. That's it. Okay, let me practice the approach briefly. Okay, that will need more work. I do want to get back to the other sections that demand attention. From our rehearsal, I think we moderated the tempo just a little bit. perhaps. It goes down and then it zigzags. So my awareness has to be, and my solution, how I take care of that zigzag, go all the way to here and then go here. So, the coordination requires that the left hand feel no sense of unease about fitting its dotted notes in among the right hand notes. There has to be a sense of well-being, let me put it this way. Still crescendo. On that G, I'm turning to the thumb. So if I use this diagonal, just draw my hand back toward my body diagonally. The G is right in the path, so that I don't have to reach or cross. But the simpler the choreographer, the more trustworthy, or at least the more graceful, the more at ease the gesture is. Yes. Time to read accidentals at this speed. So the first one has to be B flat, B flat scale. Second one is an E flat scale. So much easier than the one, well, this whole section than the one in the in the recapitulation. So, at least currently in my head. Thinking, this doesn't feel right, and it's because I did not have the right fingering. Descending This also was not too successful. not feel as if it has to suddenly find a strange finger. It'll move, it'll adjust later. If it adjusts too soon, it's in trouble. It only happens on that last one, but I sometimes anticipate the notiness. By not anticipating, I make it easier for myself. F. I'm saying 3, 2, 1. Let's see what the reality is. 3 is so much simpler. Since I don't have time to look, I have to remind myself of those 2 black notes, 2, 1 that draw me into the keyboard. Until I lost my nerve at the end. Just don't lose track of the tempo. Changed my mind there. So I'm going to skip to 4th finger and then 1. Yeah. I misread what they were saying anyway, that the 1 is really useful on the D. But I don't need 5th. I don't. I made. Put the thumb sign in the wrong place. So I have to know them. So it shouldn't make me uncomfortable. There it is. Starts being different. Not too rush. And here. And then. Shift to fifth. Shift to fifth. doesn't mean that the hands that are left playing less don't need to know how to connect. So, those are important. Yes. See, if it's in like that. Once more. And that's where we started. So we've come full circle. Good. Do this more.